Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 19th of August. In fact, good afternoon. So it's about an hour before New York Open. Okay, so this week so far, we obviously reclaimed the 7 week, I think it's 7 weeks of value following a flush into the sort of futures open. It's a good lesson in there and not really doing anything until that point in time, as usual. Shifted back above the 4 day, shifted above the point of control here. We got a spike high yesterday, which mostly retraced. And we're just compressing now and consolidating again, trading back above our rolling VWAPs. I think that we will continue to trade up, given this failure below value here and given the fact that we flipped this point of control. So I'm leaning towards upside from BTC, but it doesn't really necessarily mean I'm bothered about trading it. I think there are better opportunities. As I said yesterday, I think Solana and ETH both look stronger at the moment, which obviously is not sort of bullish in terms of the bigger picture. But as we come into September, I expect we'll see more bearish price action. So if we can flip this 65k level, I think we could actually trade quite a bit higher, potentially into the 70s. I think a lot of people will look to short around these highs, but at this point we've potentially reclaimed this value and could look to traverse up to 70 to 71k. So flipping 65 is key, right? At that point I may well look to position on BTC, but I'm not really too bothered about trading it while we are rotational within the 63 to 65k area. So yeah, would have been good, ideal to take a long here, but if we can break out above 65 and give some kind of bullish setup above that level, that's where I would potentially look to take a long, targeting at least 67, 68k, and potentially a move, as I say, towards a 2.5 month composite high, which would take us into the sort of 70k area. I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility, but there's just not much volume or volatility here, so it's not particularly great to trade. I think there are better opportunities elsewhere, both within and outside of crypto at the moment. So BTC is just not, and as I said, I'm really interested in. ETH and Sol. So Sol plan is playing out. We actually came back and tested this composite high, and then got the reclaim and then a retest here. So I'm potentially looking for another entry compounding if we can pull back into that 4-day composite low. We haven't yet given that return pullback, but it may just continue from here. So Sol to me looks much stronger than BTC right now, at least towards 80, which is that previous month value high. So I'm in the long from down here. At least towards 80. Oops. Traversing previous month's value, so we got a bit of reaction off VWAP yesterday or overnight, and then potentially if we can really get a move on towards that naked point of control at $85. So that'd be a really nice trade if we can make it that far. But yeah, certainly a good amount of VWAP overlap here. So if we can reclaim that 4-day composite, that would suggest that we were probably going higher. If we reject off this area and this comp, then maybe that's all we get. But I think Sol looks quite good for now. So just holding that until something changes or we get some kind of bearish change. But yeah, if we can get a quick flush into that 4-day composite low, there may well be an entry there. ETH obviously has just been compressing. I think Sol looks better than ETH as well, which is why it's been a better trade so far. But we are now trading above value here and shifting potentially that previous month value high level, which is right here. So are we ready now to break out and show some momentum? I think looks like it to me. So hopefully this can get a move on and we can trade into potentially this value high around yearly VWAP as well. So ETH looks more ready than BTC, having now traded above value. I'm mostly interested in the majors. I think hype looks good as well. Gave that bullish retest of this 8-day composite low. So potentially we could look up towards this kind of area around 63 next, assuming we can traverse that value. Obviously we have composite resistance at 61.50. But it looks good, right? Structurally, it looks good. We've reclaimed this value. I think it looks really bullish at the moment. So I like hype. Don't have a position yet. We'll look to get one. Yeah, I think crypto looks okay. I think indices look quite bad overall. I think that we will see more downside this week, but potentially we get some bullish retests up here. But there are lots of reasons to be sort of cautious indices at the moment. We are getting a bid here, but I think a further pullback is likely, right? So whether we make a higher low into this area or get something deeper, remains to be seen, but potentially I would look for another short if we came back into this area and tested this imbalance, but not really interested in doing anything in the middle of this value. So may well not be another trade here. I took the short yesterday. I closed it out into the 90-day VWAP here. So if we reject off the 7, fading around the composite highs again, there may well be a good short, but I'm not going to force it. I think SK Hynix is the best looking memory stock right now. Obviously has the buyback narrative, which may help, but we've essentially held this value low here. It looks pretty good. So I think this could potentially put in a nice rally into this sort of LVN area potentially, if it can really get going. So that's my favorite sort of stock to look at for the long side at the moment. That's about it, guys. I don't want to spend too long on the thing today, so I'll speak to you next time.